Hello, all. Welcome back. Today, we are finishing up this small series of videos by talking about how you actually give a report once you get to the hospital. Just like with the radio port, it is important that you have a quote unquote script that you follow, one that communicates all the important information in a clear, logical format that you can replicate no matter the acuity of your patient. Similar to a radio report, you do not want to start talking right away. Whether you are bringing in a completely bullshit transfer or a really shocky trauma patient, you do not want to have to give a report more than once. Make sure that at a minimum, there is someone of equal or higher certification than you in the room. If you're bringing in a stable transfer, a nurse is probably going to be the only one that will be in the room anyway. If you're bringing in a bad trauma or a really sick medical patient, you'll have multiple nurses, ED physicians, maybe a trauma surgeon or two in the room as well. No matter which of these describes your patient, it is your job to convey your report to those who are assuming care. Just like a radio report, this is a skill and it's going to take time for you to get comfortable with it. You're going to fumble. You're going to lose your rhythm. You're going to forget a crucial piece of information that someone will ask you about in front of everyone, and you will feel stupid. This is part of the process. It will get better, and you will become more confident when you're giving your report. As with all of these report videos, now for some practical advice. In my video about giving radio report, you will find the basic outline of what a bedside handoff can look like if you use the acronym MIST, M-I-S-T, like is described in that video. It's a good framework to go off of. The difference now is that you can flesh things out. When you talk about the injuries, you can actually point to them on your patient and you can bring up anything that you feel is necessary for the ED team to know. Now, when you enter the room, the first thing out of your mouth should be, let me know when you're ready. Depending on what you're bringing in, like I said earlier, there's either going to be one other person or there might be a whole team in there waiting for you. You do not want to have to give your report more than once. It's an easy way to ensure that the people who need to hear your report are in the room before you start talking. Once a team has said that they are ready, greet the whole room. When I give report, I would always just say, good evening or good morning, everyone. Pretty simple and logical way to start. The next thing you say will be, this is blank. Use your patient's name. One thing that is very easy to forget is just how invasive emergency medicine is. Our patients, no matter what level their acuity is, are in an extremely vulnerable position. The least we can do is to make sure that we recognize them as people and not just a patient. All right. Once you introduce your patient, you need to tell the room why are they here, back up your diagnosis with any physical findings that you have. Describe what treatments you gave in exact dosages. If you patched any wounds or splinted anything, point it out so that everyone is clear about what you did. This also allows anybody on the team to ask a clarifying question about any treatments so that they know what you did and so they can craft their treatment plan going forward. Once you've relayed all this information, you need to have a closing statement. Mine was, that's all I've got. What questions do you have? This clearly shows that you have said what you want to, and it puts the ball in the receiving team's court if they want to ask any follow up or clarifying questions of you. Once you've finished and there are no questions from the receiving team, say goodbye to your patient, get your signatures, and exit the stage. Sometimes you may have something that you want to tell a team member that the whole room didn't really need to hear, or honestly, it would have just slowed down your handoff. This is the time to do that. And this is where you can flesh out any nuances of the situation, injuries, or the care that you provided. One last point that I'm going to make goes for both the transporting and the receiving team. We really need to start showing a bit of grace on both sides. It is very easy to call report to facility, give them a 10-minute notice, and be apocalyptically pissed off when they aren't ready for you. But what you may not see is that 2 minutes before you got there, there was a somnolent child that got brought in through the front door, and now you had to take a shock room for them rather than the critical but stable patient that you have brought in. For the receiving team, unless you have walked in the boots of the pre hospital world, I would be very careful about casting assumptions about your patient and the care that they have received. I cannot express just how different it is to treat someone as a first responder versus in the shock room. You have no idea the scenario that that patient was in, what the scene looked like, or any number of 100 other factors that can and will affect the ability to care for patients in the field. You are working with a fraction of the resources, possibly very restricted protocols, and potentially in settings that are anything but stable. All right, that's all I've got for today. Comment down below if you've had any issues giving reports or anything funny or embarrassing that you said while giving one. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you on the next one. Bye.